Hello everyone, and welcome to another episode of Inside Out Smile. I'm your host Dr. Amber Q, and I'm absolutely delighted and thrilled that you've joined me today. So on Friday evening I was coming back from a trip, more about that on a different episode, and I was tired but I was happy and I was looking forward to getting home. And I was on the tube and it was great because I got onto the tube and I thought, oh, there's a seat. And I had my case with me, which had 4 wheels. So it was, nice to sort of, move around, and I felt great. I'd had a great couple of days. I was just moving towards the seat and I was quite relaxed. And as I moved towards the seat, there was a young blonde woman who suddenly kind of put her hands out towards the seat. And I suddenly thought to myself, oh, is that a seat meant for somebody else? Is somebody coming towards that seat and she doesn't want me to sit there? So I looked around, but I couldn't see anyone in the carriage. Everyone was just seated. So I moved towards the seat and I thought, oh, maybe she's trying to help me with my case. Even though my case has 4 wheels, it was a small case, it wasn't a big case, and it's the kind of case that you take away, for a weekend or a couple of days. So it was a small case, and I thought to myself, oh, is she just trying to be helpful? Maybe she thinks I'm going to fall and she's putting her hand out to steady me, which is very sweet. So I sat down and I saw the lady opposite me look at me and then look at the woman. And she was blonde as well, and she was really pretty as well. And I suddenly thought to myself, oh, maybe she was going to sit next to this person and I've kind of interrupted. So this other woman who's now sitting next to me is staring at me. So I said to her, oh, I'm really sorry. Did you want this seat? Did your friend want to sit here? Did you want to sit together? There was another blonde girl. I don't know why everyone was blonde on this carriage. There was another blonde girl next to me who was younger. And I suddenly started to think, oh, do these people know each other? Maybe, they wanted to sit together, the 3 of them. Anyway, sorry, I'm gesticulating here and I've just moved my notepad. Anyway, so the woman just kind of seemed to look confused. So I thought, oh, okay, that's obviously not the case. And sorry, I shouldn't have used the word case because I'm talking about my suitcase. So I don't want to cause any confusion. I was very confused though on the tube. This woman started then reaching out towards my suitcase and sort of patting it. And I thought, what is she doing? And then she turned to me and she said, where are you going? And I said, I'm sorry. And she was saying, where are you going? Are you getting off at this station? And I was sort of like, no. And she said, well, where are you going? And then she kept saying, are you getting off at so-and-so station? And I was thinking, no, I'm not, but I'm not going to tell you where I'm going. Obviously, I didn't say that. I was just thinking that myself. And I realised that she was smelling of alcohol, her eyes weren't focused, and then she kept reaching out, patting my suitcase. And I was thinking, this is very odd. I was feeling quite uncomfortable at this point, and I realised that the woman opposite was just intrigued, and she was looking at the both of us. And the girl next to me gave me sort of a sympathetic smile. So I sort of just was staring opposite me. And this woman was just, the woman next to me, she was just, I could tell, she was just staring at me. I felt really uncomfortable. And I thought to myself, wonder what kind of person she is. I don't know if it's just alcohol that she'd taken or whether there were drugs involved. I mean, you just don't know these days. So I just wanted to avoid her. And I have to say that when she got off, which incidentally was the station that she'd mentioned. So I did, and I was thinking to myself, she keeps mentioning this station, and I'm not getting off at that station, but I hope she is, because why else would she have mentioned that particular station? So she did get off at that station. And I just thought to myself, oh my gosh, I'm just glad she's gone. And then the lady opposite me started to say, oh, that was very strange, wasn't it? And then we had a chat about how it was really weird and I'd never experienced anything like that. And she was saying she'd never experienced anything like that. And the girl next to me on the right side, she was sort of smiling sympathetically. And I have to say that I'm not sure if it was just alcohol. And I have come across drunk men, but I've never experienced, I guess, a drunk woman behaving like that on the tube. And I felt really uncomfortable. And it really makes me think about, people that become intoxicated and then behave in strange ways towards others. So it really, and of course, I know from working in dental A&E, I've seen many cases of people that have been in fights or accidents because of alcohol and potentially other substances. And it really doesn't just affect the person, obviously, that's taking the substance, but it affects others around them. And it was a really weird experience. I mean, she was well dressed, pretty girl, and I guess, she didn't do anything sort of that harmed me, but I did feel very uncomfortable. And it's kind of just an odd experience. And I just wonder what will happen when she's sober and whether she'll realize. She probably will have a hazy memory, but would she, I don't know, is she this kind of person that is emotionally intelligent? Will she think, oh my gosh, did I sort of, make that person feel uncomfortable? What happened? And I wonder, would I recognize her again? But it was just a weird experience. And I haven't actually mentioned it to anybody, funnily enough, because the lady who was opposite actually said, oh, it's a good story to tell people. But I haven't actually mentioned it to anyone. And now I'm speaking about it on the podcast. But yeah, it was just a weird experience. I don't know if anything like that's ever happened to you previously, whether you can relate. And it's not that I would have, did I feel less threatened or less uncomfortable because it was a woman compared to a guy? Probably. And, she was pretty, she was well dressed. And she didn't swear at me, but she was just invading my personal space. And she just kept repeating the same question. I definitely felt uncomfortable. And it's just weird, isn't it? So I didn't enjoy that interaction. I did enjoy the interaction with the lady opposite me, who was lovely and very sympathetic. But it was just a strange ending to my sort of trip away. So I wonder if you've ever experienced anything like that and whether you've noticed a difference in how you felt, whether that was coming from, a male or a female. I definitely felt better, I think, that it was a woman than a guy. If a guy had been asking me where I was getting off, I would have felt extremely uncomfortable. And I have actually experienced that once years and years and years ago. Once I was on the tube and I was at the end of the line and I got onto a carriage I never get into an empty carriage. So I'd gotten into carriage with some other people, but they actually got off on the next station, and then this guy who was sitting elsewhere came and sat next to me, and I remember he had a gold tooth, and he just started speaking to me, and he was kind of leaning closer and closer to me, and I remember feeling excruciatingly uncomfortable. And then as soon as the tube sort of rolled into a station, I was kind of like, oh, here's my stop, even though it wasn't my stop, and I just got off the tube. And I remember that I still remember that to this day. And that must have been, my gosh, years and years ago. So that was literally when I was 18, and I still remember that. So I definitely would have felt worse. It was a guy, but I still felt uncomfortable as a female. And I just kind of think, I don't know. It's just that whole thing, isn't it? When you're under the influence of an intoxicant, do you realize how you're kind of, coming across to others? Obviously, you don't realize it at the time. And I guess because you have a hazy memory thereafter, would you remember the sort of emotions that you are initiating in someone else? I don't know, just something to think about. But again, another downside to alcohol. And yeah, I just wanted to share that, and just wondered whether it's happened to you guys. I mean, it's really interesting, isn't it? Just the way we come across to people, and when someone is just, when they are intoxicated, you just don't know what they're going to do or how they're going to behave. And you don't know what people have been doing, right? So I was tired, looking forward to going home. Didn't really, I didn't really enjoy that interaction. Anyway, I just thought I'd share that. But as I said, it was great to chat with the lady after the intoxicated woman left the carriage. Anyway, until the next episode, let's all feel extraordinary, create connection, and change lives when we are fully conscious of what we're saying.